we need you to come in.
Let me put you on hold.
Where do you want me?
I'm such a huge fan of the Black Widow, and I love playing this character, and for me, suiting up again was just pretty exciting. The Black Widow, when we first find her, is recruiting the team. Doctor, we need you to come in.
What if I say no?
I'll persuade you.
Black Widow is just so apt and so gifted that we figured she should be part of the team.
I'm bringing the party to you.
I don't see how that's a party. I think all of these characters are sort of reluctant superheroes in a sense.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that away, what are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
All of these characters coming together in one world, it's very exciting.
The Avengers, that's what we call ourselves.
Earth's mightiest heroes type thing.
I think what makes this film stand out is the grounded nature with which Joss has infused this film. In my mind, a throwback to what people loved in Iron Man, the original. It's everything that Joss loves about sci-fi, which is being able to escape in this otherworldly reality, but have it still be heartfelt and sincere.
This is Loki. This is monsters and magic and nothing we were ever trained.
Jeremy, as an actor, I think, brings a wry, brooding, sarcastic, devil-may-care attitude to the character, and that's just part of his personality coming through. And that's what makes the casting so inspired, is that Jeremy has that kind of rogue quality, and that's what makes him so much fun to watch. The Black Widow, when we first find her, is she's, you know, being tasked. She is in Russia. She is you know, in the middle of taking care of business. And she is then sent for by Nick Fury, and I think all of these characters are sort of reluctant superheroes in a sense. She looks at it as just kind of another job. You know, she's basically out there kind of recruiting the team. And, you know, she doesn't know much about this world. Well, I think the first time that we saw this character, we didn't really know much about her. We never learned much about the Widow. She's really, you know, I think quite, she's a slippery fish in Iron Man 2. And, you know, we get little glimpses of her, you know, her true identity, but it all happens so quickly. To be able to play, you know, the Black Widow as she is without, you know, these many faces. I mean, she still has many different faces she puts on. I think she still is sort of divisive in that way, but we get to see a little bit more of who she is, a little bit of her history, of her kind of shady past. We definitely embrace the wushu a lot, and there's you know, a lot of weapons in this, way more, you know, kind of weaponry than I've ever had to learn before. So that's been complicated a little bit. You know, you're like, okay, I can do all this hand-to-hand stuff. Oh yeah, here's this giant staff, or, you know, a bow and arrow, or fight with these two guns in your hand, and you're like, wait a minute, I had all those movements down, and now I'm fighting against, you know, a 20-pound, like, giant stick. So that stuff is a little bit difficult to pick up. I have to say, the first time I saw what they had in mind, I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna learn it. And you do, you know, it's just a lot of fails until you get it. Joss's dialogue is so witty and so dry and so clever, and I think he's really invested in each personality, and you can see the little, like, I'd call them like Whedonisms in the words. There's a lot of pop cultural references. And there's a lot of heart behind the characters. You know, they are, you know, when they hurt, they're hurt. We relate to them. There's betrayal. There's suspicion. You know, these are real feelings, and I think the audience will relate to them, just as they have in the Iron Man films, just as they have in Thor, just as they do, you know, in Captain America. I think the audience relates to each one of these films because they are, and I think that's why audiences, or why readers relate to comic books, is because these characters are human, but have these superhuman abilities. And Joss, as a fan, I think, was just dedicated to seeing that through. I think what makes this film stand out is, of course, the cast is just insane. You know, when do you ever get to see this group of actors come together in this kind of fantasy world? And I think it's the sort of the grounded nature with which this film, with which Joss has infused this film, that sort of is, I think, in my mind, a throwback to what people loved in Iron Man, the original, but it's with a kind of like sci-fi infusion in some way. It's everything that Joss loves about sci-fi, which is being able to escape in this sort of, you know, ultimate kind of otherworldly reality, but have it still be heartfelt and sincere.
You know, if you asked Kristen out from statistics, she'd probably say yes.
That's why I don't ask.
Too shy or too scared?
Too busy.
When we first find Natasha and Steve, since Avengers, they have been tasked on many different missions together. They have gotten to know each other a bit.
Natasha, what's your status?
And your room secure.
Cap and Black Widow are very different people. It's kind of like this odd pairing. She has very questionable morality, and she makes her living lying, and Cap couldn't do it if he tried.
They've been through some things. He knows a lot more about her than most people. And their bond is kind of tested in an interesting sort of way.
Our mission is to rescue hostages.
No, that's your mission.
This character is a very strong, independent, intelligent woman who has seen the darkest places, so we get to play with that a little bit. For me, just having done 3 films so far with Marvel, and also with this, you know, with the same stunt group, I know what the ins and outs are more. I feel way more comfortable fighting. I feel way more comfortable hanging 60 feet in the air.
Scarlett and I have worked together quite a bit now. Her double is Heidi Moneymaker, who I hired and put them together on Iron Man 2, and she's doubled her ever since. She is truly one of the best stunt women in the world.
Thank you to Heidi Moneymaker, who the 2 of us have now fused into one person. I think we try to push the envelope with each film, and there's already these kind of established moves that people recognize and are really into, so we get to play with that a little bit.
We sort of have a style, or we have her style, and so every time I come onto a new movie, I go with the flow, and then I start trying to put in really widowy, kind of flippy, twisty, lucha libre type fun moves so that she still has that flair to it.
A lot of the stunts in this film involved a lot of wire work, a lot of like rappelling down things.
We had her up at about 3 stories inside of a ship with steel all around, and we dropped her down. You know, it was about a 30 or 40-foot drop, and she's shooting guns and very repeatable. It was safe, but she trusted us, and she did a great job.
The Russo brothers infuse this storyline with a film history that they bring to the set that I think is very unique. They're holding this film up to some pretty high standards. Well, when we first find Natasha and Steve, it's been, you know, it's kind of real time. So since Avengers, you know, whatever, it's been a couple years or so, and they have been tasked on many different missions together. They're kind of just doing their job. Business as usual. They've gotten to know each other a bit, you know, so they have a more of a conversation, easy conversation between them than in Avengers, and that's kind of where we find her. I think there is a much more kind of palpable bad guy here that people can kind of wrap their head around. It doesn't ask the audience to stretch their mind that far outside of home, and I think that is what will kind of draw the audience in and really connect them to this storyline. I think that there is so much to explore with Black Widow. Certainly, like, her past is something that's always been shrouded in mystery, and, you know, we continue to open up the story, give little, you know, kind of tidbits and throw the bone out once in a while as to where she came from and what her background is. So, I mean, I think there's a lot to explore there, and certainly where she's going. I mean, when you take a character who's had the past that she's had, who has seen the darkest places and who has chosen to make, who has chosen to do the right thing because it had longevity, and over time she kind of appreciates what the right thing is in her mind and why it sort of starts to understand the humanity. But because she's seen the depths, the darkest depths of humanity, there's really such a full spectrum as to where this character could go. And we know a lot about each other, and Chris is such an intelligent guy. He's a witty guy, he's funny, he's got a great spirit, and we just enjoy each other very much. The Russo brothers were hired for their ability to kind of, I think, to infuse this storyline with, you know, a kind of contemporary, witty, quick, you know, sharp-tongued dialogue. All of the fighting is last minute. It's really a fight to survive.